There are many reasons that tenants might not pay rent, many excuses. I'm actually smiling because I'm going through tons of evictions right now. There's no end to it, but as a landlord, you need to stay calm, cool, and collected. You need to understand your options and what you should do in this situation. You don't want to be impulsive because this could be detrimental to your business and your future. Play it right, and the odds will be in your favor long term. We're in Houston right now, walking our new 56 unit crazy property here. It starts down there.
We got a lot of billion-dollar man.
First things first, and I know this might sound absolutely crazy, but think about it. Think about it carefully with me. You want to have a rational conversation with your tenant.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
You don't want to be aggressive. You want to keep curse words out of the conversation. Today, as we speak, 2/22/22, I had a conversation with one of my tenants that hasn't paid rent in a couple of months. I got involved, even though we have hundreds of units now and we have a full management team. I knew this tenant for 4 years and I wanted to speak to them because I see that they're falling behind. Of course, the tenant gave me plenty of excuses and, pardon my French, total bullshit, but it's okay. I was calm, I was collective the whole time. The tenant was cursing. I told him, why are you cursing? We haven't spoken in months. It's really nice to speak to you. Let's just get to the bottom of this and figure out what direction we're going in. This is super important, guys. Like, I'm not kidding right now. This is one of the biggest parts of being a landlord that are overlooked and might not be handled the right way. Everything needs to be written. As a landlord, especially in this market right now with rental eviction moratoriums going on, being lifted, brought back, certain states have it, certain don't. New York has been the worst of the worst where I live and where I have a lot of properties. You're going to want to put everything in writing and make sure it follows guidelines of the law. Because if not, you're only hurting yourself. If it's going to cost you a little bit extra to get it done properly, do it the right way. And don't be ashamed to hit your tenant with late fees because they deserve it if they're going to keep being late. And you have no worries about late fees because you can always waive them if you want. As the landlord, you have the power to do that. Let's say a phone conversation doesn't resolve what you're trying to get to. Then you might want to meet in person with this tenant if you're a local. But keep in mind everything in writing. The first question you should ask your tenant is why they haven't been paying the rent. It's not rocket science. Ask them why, be understanding, be empathetic, but then try and find a solution for them to pay you. Stay firm. You don't want people to feel weakness. People naturally feel weakness, they taste it, and they take advantage of it. At the end of the day, it's the way we're all wired, and we all want to get the best deals for ourselves that we can get. So don't let your tenants feel weakness from you. You're the landlord, stay firm on that. If your tenant doesn't pay their rent after these conversations and these notices and everything, it's time to hire an attorney. This stuff could get costly. In New York, I pay around $750 to $1,000 per an eviction, which is actually relatively cheap, but I do volume, so I don't have to pay retail prices. In other states, evictions could be as low as $350, even lower actually, I've heard of, but I don't know if I want to believe it or not. Sometimes it'll only cost you a filing fee with the government because you don't have to retain an attorney. You're only going to have to pay a filing fee with the court, and you could do the eviction yourself as a person, as the landlord. In New York, you need to hire an attorney when doing an eviction, especially if the property is owned within an LLC. There's a couple of eviction options in New York. One is called a holdover, one is called non-payment. A holdover is if you just want to get rid of a tenant for any reason. If they've been there for 1 year, you have to give them a 1-month notice to vacate the premises. 2 years or more, 2-month notice. 3 years or more, 3-month notice. And then you have to wait until that notice expires before filing with the court. Then you get an index number and the eviction process has begun. To avoid all of this, you're just gonna wanna pay out your tenant. Come up with an agreement, pay them to leave, figure something out. I have an example of this that I did today, and tomorrow the tenant is actually leaving the property. It's unfortunate because she was a great paying tenant, but then she couldn't keep up with it. She was transparent with me, and we ended up coming to an agreement instead of going down the eviction road, which I didn't want to go down. This lady wanted to leave the property because she wasn't super happy with the size and how much she was paying. Even though, believe it or not, she was paying below market, it was still not up to her standards. because she thought she could get a better deal elsewhere. I think she did, and she said for her to wrap up and not just sit there for another month or two without paying, she wants her security deposit back. I thought that was more than fair, even though she did cause a little bit of damage, but not too much. I was willing to bite the bullet, give her back her security deposit, and she left the property, or she's leaving tomorrow. So I hope it all works out. I'm happy she's moving on, and now I'm going to be able to raise the rent. Sometimes you don't want to fight fire with fire. You want to just sprinkle some water on that fire and hopefully put it out before it gets out of hand. Now, don't be crazy and do things that can get you arrested.
Really? Really go. You fast, bro, but you ain't fast enough.
A lot of people tell me, oh my God, if my tenant doesn't pay, I'm gonna shut off the utilities, I'm going to go crazy, kick down the door. I'm like, don't be crazy. You can't scale that way. You're only going to get yourself in trouble. Much bigger fish have tried and much bigger fish have been caught and killed. Don't do it. It's never going to lead to anywhere good. Now, have I had my fair share of craziness with former tenants? Yes, for sure. But do I do that stuff or go crazy anymore? Absolutely not. Calm, cool, collected, go down the legal road if need be, pay them if need be. If money can resolve your problem, it's much better than prison, and it's much less expensive. If this is too much for you and it's been getting crazy, you've been scaling up your rental portfolio and it seems like eviction after eviction keeps coming up, you need to change the way you underwrite your tenants, that you review them, that you screen them, and you're going to want to potentially hire a property management company to do this properly for you. It's going to save you money, short term and long term, and it's going to save you a ton of headaches. I'm glad you guys tuned in. You guys know the process now. If you get into this with your tenant, conversation first, written notices, everything in writing, try and hash it out, don't be crazy, and eviction if need be. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this advice helped. Share this with a friend, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm dropping non-stop videos outlining these things and how to get more people into real estate and do better. I hope you guys appreciated it. Until next time.